I know ribeye is juicy, tender, and extremely tasty, but you need to stop eating ribeye right now.
Big thanks to Napoleon Grills for sponsoring this episode.
You and me together, we need to stop eating ribeye steaks. I'm not kidding you. I had a few days off last week and maybe something went wrong there, but I had this epiphany. You see, I cooked this beautiful thick tomahawk steak for my family, but because we were sharing that 1.5 kilogram, I was carving out the pieces that you actually can't eat. Large pieces of fat, a big bone, and I came to this shocking conclusion. Maybe it's time I need to stop eating ribeye. And let me show you why that is exactly. By cooking up my last tomahawk steak. Feels like turning vegan. I'm not turning vegan. I'm not anti-meat. Get me right. This is a big deal. This is gonna be my last tomahawk. Will I regret my decisions? Am I gonna go back on it? I hope not, because that's gonna make me look stupid. But sometimes you just gotta say, enough's enough. And before I say goodbye to tomahawk steaks forever, let's just appreciate this beautiful piece of meat. Gorgeous Irish beef. Not too much fat, it looks stunning. Beautiful dark red color, a nice touch of intermuscular fat. For this tomahawk, I had a kilogram price for 35 euros per kilogram, which is actually kind of cheap. What am I going to do with this tomahawk to prepare it? Well, not much. I'm just going to sprinkle on a little bit of salt before I'm going to cook it. And I did an experiment in the past that if you're seasoning up front, you want to season it 4 hours before you start cooking. Not 24 hours, because then you're brining your steak too much and you're going to get this weird ham beef style flavor. Of course, I'm going to season both sides, and seasoning 10 minutes before you start cooking is not going to do a lot. Then you just might as well season afterwards. I'm going to be cooking this tomahawk steak on my Napoleon gas grill. But before I'm going to fire it up, I'm going to transform it into a steak grilling monster. First thing I'm going to do is remove the stainless steel grill grates, take out the heat deflectors, and put in the heavy-duty Napoleon charcoal tray. Load it up with some fresh charcoal, and then I'm going to put in these very special cast stainless steel grill grates for exceptionally beautiful sear marks. And now I'm going to turn on the burners underneath the charcoal, set them to a low position, and let that charcoal catch fire. While all that's happening, I'm just going to put that steak on the opposite of the charcoal and the direct heat, close the lid, and wait for my charcoal to catch fire. We're about 20 minutes in. The charcoal's getting pretty hot, and I'm going to shut down the burners. And that's because I got plenty of indirect heat. So we're going to get a nice even cooking session. And as you can see, we're already getting a couple of smoke twirls from the charcoal. And that means a little bit of extra flavor on our steak. The core temperature of the steak is currently 18 degrees Celsius, which means we got probably another 30 minutes to go. I'm now at a core temperature of 74 degrees on the tomahawk steak. And as you can see, it looks drippy, juicy, and ready to be eaten. Most importantly, I want you to notice the mahogany red color on the outside of this ribeye. We still have smoke flavor on the steak from the charcoal. Now, as I told you, it's only at 47 degrees Celsius, which means that is the temperature that I don't have to let it rest at. It's going to rise up even further, and all I need to do now is sear it real quick on both sides to get it up to the core temperature of 52 degrees Celsius. The grill grate's hot, the steak goes on. All I need is for the fat to render out and get that beautiful Maillard effect on the steak. I'm going to carve up this tomahawk steak and show you exactly why you should stop buying that tomahawk steak. First, of course, comes off the bone. Just follow it along. There we go. And then you have the eye here. We need to separate this all because here in between you have the tendons running and you have a piece of fat. So what you do is you take this off. Of course you can slice straight through, and this is the way you carve up a tomahawk steak. Now of course, if you want to do it right, you're going to clean it up. Here you can see the piece that I'm going to carve up first. This is the tendon, and that is going to make your steak tough. So to get the ultimate experience, you got to go around that eye of the ribeye and take all of that tendon off. I'm going to slice off as little as I can just to ensure, and look at how tough that is. That is super strong. In general, a cow this size is over 2 years old to ensure that you get plenty of meat. Now we got almost a nice clean steak. Look at that. That looks better. See, I'm carving off too little. Notice how beautiful it's cooked. Now we can set this aside. This is something we can carve up now. Now if we take a look at the cap, which by the way is my favorite piece of the ribeye steak because it's tender and it's extremely juicy. But here we also have to remove that tendon. You see the tendon in the muscles there to keep the muscle together. So it's basically wrapping around every muscle, and the more exercise, the stronger it gets too. This is now clean, a little bit more here. Waste. Now I got a little bit of piece left that I got to remove the tendon on. Here we go. Cutting all the way down, another piece. And then of course we got a little bit of that belly meat, which is rather tough. Need to cut off the pieces of meat that we can keep, but as you can see, look at that. You cannot in all decency serve that up to your guests. Lots of fat, lots of tendons. People are not gonna like it. I'm really trying here. This is the meat that I carved out that's actually digestible for us. Of course you can eat the fat and you can eat the tendons if you want to, but it's not going to be an enjoyable experience. I do like to chew off the meat from the bone, but in all honesty, it's not going to be a lot. So that's going to go there. And if we take a look at the results, then we have about half of the tomahawk steak that we're going to eat. And the other half is nice to chew on. It's going to give us a lot of flavor, but you can't really consider that to be a nice steak. A nice part of the steak. Making other things, grinding it up into burgers and doing all kinds of things with. But it's not worth paying for. And it's kind of making me sad. And this is the realization that I had. If I carved this up for my family to eat, and I slice it up into nice steaks and serve it up on our plate like that, of course, they're going to have an enjoyable steak. It's going to be amazing. And maybe you're saying, well, Pitmaster, you're overreacting. I would eat all of that. I don't care about the tendons and the fat. But let me show you an alternative steak to the tomahawk steak that you can have for less money, the same amount of flavor, and no waste whatsoever. I would like you to consider this. This is a flank steak. Now make sure that I bought the same steak from the same cow where the tomahawk came from. As you can see, there are no bones, there are no tendons, there are no blobs of fat. But the best thing of all is the price. So I paid 24 euros the kilogram for this flank steak. That is 10 euros the kilogram less. Let me put some salt on this. This is a thinner steak, so I'm only gonna season one side. I'm gonna take this steak, put it on the grill, and sear it off. The power of charcoal on a gas-fired grill, insane. Once that steak has a core temperature of 48 degrees, I'm taking it off and letting it rest. 48 degrees might seem a little early for the core temperature, but because we've been grilling it so hard at such a high temperature, I know it's going to raise up a lot. And that resting period has to be at least 5 minutes, preferably even 10. Look. This is all steak. There is no bone, no tendon. Is it as good as a ribeye? Let's take a look. Juicy red meat. Now the trick is with this steak, if you have noticed, if you haven't noticed, I'm going to show you. You see that the muscle fibers run in this direction. So we have to cut it against the grain. Let's stack this up on the side. And I'm just going to cut it against the grain. And now you can actually see into the grain. And by cutting it against the grain, you're going to get a nice tender experience. And the flank steak is known for its flavor. So definitely good on that. But the amount of waste that we get out of this steak, 0%. Maybe the edges that is a little bit on the dry side compared to the core. But in general, we've got a beautiful piece of steak. Fine, it's tender, it's juicy, it's very, very flavorful. And I didn't add anything, it's just salt and beef. It is fantastic. So here I go again with my statement saying, maybe I should stop eating tomahawk steak. So now maybe you see where I'm coming from. I paid 10 euros less, but I got about 50% more yield out of my steak. Both of these steaks at the same weight, I end up with 2 times more steak. How is that even possible? I ain't even good at math. Drop a comment down below if you stopped eating tomahawk steak, or at least if you're thinking about it. Thank you guys for watching. See you on the next episode. Until then, eet smakelijk and keep on grilling.